Hey y'all, this is Steph. I am not the face that you usually see on these videos, but I am Jorey's wife. And he and I have been talking a long time about how it really takes the entire family to get through a first responder and a military life and any trauma that comes through being first responder or just trauma in life that really does affect the entire family. So I wanted to share just, a little experience of mine, kind of a story with Steph to see if there's anybody else that this could help, or maybe you recognize some of the symptoms in your loved one and maybe you can get them some help. So today I want to start off by telling you the story of when Jorey was diagnosed with PTSD. So we'd been married probably about 12 years at the time, and had no idea that he had any issue. Just thought we were living like the normal married life, struggles, ups and downs. Any kind of relationship is that way. Well, he was gone to a job interview about 3 hours away, and I had the kids to myself, which I often did, and I was taking them to their after school stuff. And I had a daughter who had swim practice. So I took her, and whenever you've got a bunch of kids, one of them always has to go to the bathroom. So as soon as we arrived at practice, I took my other child into the bathroom. And while we were in there, my son liked to sit by his little buddy that he had. So he had been sitting by his buddy. Well, about a minute after we're in the bathroom, this sweet woman comes running in with my younger son, and he is covered in some kind of brown, black, oil smelling goo. I don't know what it was. So I've got one baby in one arm, one kid in the bathroom, and then this other kid covered in some kind of tarry substance. So I throw on the shower in the locker room, and we all jump in fully clothed, and I try to get this kid, scrubbed down and get it off of him as fast as I can. Well, in the meantime, the fire alarm starts going off. So we end up rinsing him off, grabbing all the kids, and running outside with everybody. And, everybody was evacuated outside. It's August. It's in the South. It was really hot and miserable. And we all kind of tried to piece together what had happened. And what we figured out was my sweet little son and his friend were just being kids, and they pulled the lever on the release valve for the fire sprinkler system. And it had not been cleaned out, so all this tarry goo came flying out at them, and it flooded the pool deck, and it was just a mess. And anyway, I was really embarrassed, and everybody was really sweet about it. It was a bunch of parents who they've all got kids too, and so they were really, really sweet. But I'm not a crier, but I just lost it. And we're standing outside, and I just started to cry, and I could not stop. I was so embarrassed. I was so upset that my husband wasn't there. I just was so, I don't know, I was just so emotional about it. So I ended up calling Jorey, and he's driving home from this job interview. And a conversation we'd had a couple times was replayed, and that was that I would tell him, you don't have any emotion. You don't have any empathy. You're like a zombie. You're blank, you're gone, I've heard a lot of people say these phrases, and I had often said them to Jorey. And this time I kind of yelled them through my tears, and I also said, I can't do this anymore. I said, I have been a single mother this entire time because you're not there. There's something going on. Like, you are not there for me. And whenever we'd had these conversations before, he would usually say back to me, well, everything I do is for you and the kids. Everything I do is for you and the kids. And I could not understand what was going on. But I just knew in that moment, standing outside in the heat, that I was just desperate. And I had hit my limit, and it was too much for me. And something had to give. So bless Jorey's heart, he said to me, I think we need marriage counseling. And I said, sure, let's go. Let's try it. So the next week, we end up going into counseling. And as we're sitting there, they're getting to know us and, our history and what's going on. And they very quickly honed in on Jorey and started asking him a lot of specific questions. And eventually at the end, they said, we think, Jorey needs to go see someone more specialized. And so he did. And that's when he was diagnosed. And that's when we kind of started down this path of realizing that there were all these behaviors that really were from the trauma and were from the emotional scarring and the relationship scarring of trying to live that life and trying to survive while you're in such a difficult job, and that it affects every single part of your life, including your family and your relationships. So that's when we began, kind of this recovery process, and we learned so much. And there are so many other stories that hopefully I'll share with you in the future. But please just know that if you've ever, felt like you've hit your limit, or if you are a person who has been accused of having no emotion, or if you're the spouse or, the friend, and you've noticed in somebody that they're kind of like a zombie and they really can't feel empathy, and they're a good person, but they just aren't really there emotionally. They're just this blank slate kind of zombieing it through life. That can be a sign of this trauma, and that can be helped. You can change that. You can make that better. And it takes work, it takes effort, and it takes commitment, but it's totally worth it. And, I'm not a single mom because we decided to change that, and we are working through it. So if you or someone you love is struggling with this, please reach out. There is help out there. Things can change. It is a fight. You got to fight hard for it, but it's totally worth it. So if you enjoyed this or you need help, please reach out. Please let us know. Please subscribe or like this, or comment if you want to hear more stories so I know, and I will keep them coming. Thank you.